goosebumps feel like? Even in August, I have goosebumps. That's good stuff. I want to tell you that it's an honor of my life to stand here today and to be around you good people. I have fought with you and for you, and here we are again, right? I would be remiss if I didn't mention that it will be 38 years ago tomorrow when next to my father, my hero, Ronald Reagan, stood at this podium and talked to you. His story was my story. His positions were my positions. When I first heard him speak when I was 13 years old, I fell in love with the message of conservatism. He talked about American exceptionalism. He talked about balanced budgets. He talked about personal responsibility, and it transformed my life. I became a foot soldier in the Reagan Revolution. He spoke from this podium. He spoke to a willing audience of people that wanted a change. His slogan was, "Make America Great Again." Where have you heard that? And when he was done, they called him a racist. When he was done, they called him an extremist. When he was done, they said he couldn't possibly be president of the United States. You see, the establishment hated him, but I loved him. What they called radical was really just right. What they called dangerous was really just desperately needed. It was our rendezvous with destiny. He talked of a party of bold colors, not pastels. A party of principle, a party of courage. A party that had fighters in it, not cowards in it. And for a time, he returned that energy to our party. For a time, he returned American exceptionalism to this country. We were proud again. But now, here we are, faced with a dangerous adversary. The modern Democrats in this country have shifted so far to the left, they're barely even recognizable. More socialist than Democrat, more Sanders than Roosevelt. It's become a dangerous party, and it must be confronted at every stop. Now, it's nothing short of amazing when I stand behind this podium and I hear one of those Democrats invoke the name of Ronald Reagan. They've been fighting against him for 50 years. But now they want to invoke the name of Ronald Reagan. It's the old NESHOBA two-step, you see. We've seen this before. They'll tell you one thing, then they'll govern another. They'll tell you they're for the Second Amendment, that they're different than the Democrats in Washington. They'll tell you they're for the Second Amendment, but then they'll support gun-free zones, won't they? They'll tell you they're pro-life, then they'll fund Planned Parenthood. They'll claim to fight for Mississippi's blue-collar workers, then they'll do nothing to build the wall on the southern border. They claim to fight for you, the regular average citizen, but they want to raise your taxes on everything from gasoline to Coca-Cola. And they claim to be moderate, Mr. Espy. I'm sure you're here somewhere. You claim to be moderate, but you take money from George Soros. You claim to be sensible, but you campaign with Cory Booker. You claim to want to work together, but your entire party is predicated on class division and racial strife. You claim you want to reach across party lines, but you call our president Hitler. Have you considered how ironic that is to call our president Hitler, but they want to throw you in jail for using a plastic drinking straw? And then lastly, you tell us you care about Mississippians, you care about our history. But you want to change our state flag. You want to ignore the will of the people. And you want to remove the monuments from the courthouse squares. I'll tell you right now, that dog don't hunt. We've already been fooled by Jimmy Carter once, never again. Never again. But I will give the Democrats credit, albeit small. Their lurch towards socialism has redefined the political center in this country. And there are elements within my own party that are rushing toward what the Democrats have vacated. Elements within my party that have become more Democrat than Republican. more progressive than conservative. My party has fallen prey to this redefinition, and the bold party of Reagan has now become the pastel color of Lindsey Graham. Dominated by lobbyists, by insiders, by wealthy elites seeking favor. They campaign to balance the budget, then they vote against the penny plan. They campaign to care for life from the unborn, but they maintain the funding of Planned Parenthood. They tell you they're going to build a wall, but then they take millions from the biggest amnesty proponent in the country, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We've seen this before, and we're sick of it. In fact, Mr. Espy, Mr. Berrio, your party has become so successful in infiltrating my party that right now you have mega donors in the Republican and the Democrat Party giving big money to candidates in the Republican Party. And on the big issues of the day, the real big issues, those very candidates are always silent, aren't they? They don't want to offend their donors. They don't want to offend the special interests. They don't want to offend the lobbyists. Between crossovers and party switchers, our national party has created a party of excuses, not principles. A party of compromise, not courage. And a party of surrender, not fighters. We stand here to restore the party of Reagan for conservatives. Now the establishment's going to come here later and they're going to unify to tell you that everything's okay in Washington, D.C. You see, they'll all fight to protect each other, but they won't fight to protect you. They'll rally the troops to keep Mitch McConnell in power, but they won't do anything for you. I'll tell you one thing, Donald Trump is a fine president. He needs fighters, not just those trying to ride his coattails in Washington, D.C. So the system has to be challenged. The money changers have to find new homes. We're at war with a philosophy. There is no right versus left. There's only up versus down. Up toward liberty or down toward tyranny. Because those groups in our parties, that small number of Republicans and that large number of Democrats, whether the hardened socialism of the Democrats or the soft progressivism of the Republicans, they've gotten together and they forced this country down a slow slide into the abyss. We are slipping into the swamp. Surrender after surrender, compromise after compromise, backroom deal after backroom deal, we find ourselves not recognized in our country. And I'll tell you this, conservatives have compromised enough. Wars are not won by evacuation. We will not win this one unless we choose to stand and fight for a change. Mississippi is the perfect place to do that. What will today be? How will we remember NESHOBA, Mississippi? Will this be a day of a funeral or a day of a resurrection? A day of mourning or a day of revival? Is the Reagan Revolution still underway or has it been discarded in the ash bin of history? Having heard all of this, you all may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not hear, that you did not know. You can sacrifice your principles. You can bury them in this red clay. You can ignore the fact that brave men and women are standing to fight for you right now. You can play the political game in Washington all you wish, but you can never again say that you didn't know. The future doesn't belong to the lighthearted. It belongs to the brave. And we will fight, if necessary for years, if necessary alone. It is better to stand alone and be isolated, and be ridiculed, and be made fun of, than to be a part of a club that only benefits a chosen few. Let me be clear. Mock us, ridicule us, make fun of us, assassinate our characters, if you will. But never forget that one day a few brave people stood to fight for what they believed in. And never forget that as long as 100 of us remain alive, We will never, under any conditions, surrender our Constitution, our inalienable rights, or our children's futures. It is for truth, not for glory, nor riches nor honors that we are fighting. Just for freedom. Never forget that we pushed back against the lobbyists. Never forget that we pushed back against the insiders. Never forget that we pushed back against the insider deals, the backroom deals. Never forget that we did everything we could do against those that would sell you for $1. Let the world know we didn't want to be a part of that club. The establishment has to be challenged at every level. They have to be beaten at every level. Donald Trump can't do this alone. And now is our time for choosing. But I'll tell you this, if you bury us here today, which I do not for a moment believe, you'll be forced to bury what's left of the Reagan Revolution. If you bury us here today, which I do not for a moment believe, you'll be forced to bury your conscience in this red clay of NESHOBA. But there's another option. You can join us. Don't be afraid to see what you see. Don't be afraid to know what you know. President Reagan was a fighter. Donald Trump was a fighter. Now is our time for choosing. Will we be fighters or cowards? Will we stand and hold together in Mississippi, or allow the establishment to sweep us away? So you bury him here. Don't quote him from this podium. How dare you? You bury him here. If you can't fight for his words, leave him in the soil. But if you're going to fight for it, then stand up and be heard for a change. I'm going to wrap up. But I want this to be a wake-up call, not just for this race, but all races. Every race matters at this stage. In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been given the opportunity to defend freedom in its hour of maximum danger. We should not shrink from that responsibility. We should welcome it. This time we have a choice, Mississippi. We have a choice between far more than just political personalities, far more than political programs, far more than promises. It's a choice of what sort of people we want to be and what sort of country we want to leave our children. Many years from now, you let them speak of us, these brave few that stood one last time. You let them remember our names. You let them remember the mark we made at NESHOBA. You let the battle cry go forth that you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth. Or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. If we fail here, at least let our children and our children's children say of us that we justified our brief moment here, that we did all we could do. America is the greatest, most freest, wonderful country in the entire world. And we have a responsibility to keep it that way. Join us. Emerson was right. We are the country of tomorrow. Our revolution did not end in Yorktown. More than 2 centuries later, we remain on a voyage of discovery, a land that has never become, but is always becoming. My fellow Mississippians, I want you to know that I have always had the highest respect for you, all of you, for your common sense, for your intelligence, for your decency. I have always believed in you and what you could attempt and accomplish for yourselves and for others. I still believe in hope. I still believe in Ronald Reagan's dream for this country. I still believe in conservatism, and I still believe the Republican Party can save this country if given the opportunity. But whatever else history may say about me, whatever they say about me when I'm gone, I just hope it records that I love this country. Not for her power or her wealth, but for her selflessness, and her idealism. But let it be said that I love the people of Mississippi even more. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of that first American Revolution. We dare to defend our rights. We dare to defend our sacred honor. We dare to defend the people of this state. And we can't have two masters. You can't serve Mitch McConnell and serve the people of Mississippi. You can't serve the lobbyists. You can't serve the lobbyists and serve the people of Mississippi. You can't serve the money changers, the backroom deals, and serve the people of Mississippi. We've got to push them out and restart again. May all of you know, as Americans, never forget your heroic origins. Never fail to seek divine guidance. And never, ever lose your natural, God-given optimism. And never, ever, ever forget the great state of Mississippi.